For more than 15 decades, on holy ground of sand and stone, the straight blades of the swords of the West clashed with the curved blades of the lords of the East. The Crusaders had been chased from Jerusalem, the city which many place at the center of the world, by the rebel Turks of the Caliph of Cairo, their former master. Decimated and abandoned, the Franks could no longer prevent the slow agony of their last remaining kingdoms. But for Assaif, the man whose name was synonymous with that of the long scimitar carried at his side, it no longer mattered to which dark fate his companions were consigned. When my gaze wanders over the horizon, an ancient song comes to mind. Children sit in a circle around me, princes cease their warlike games, and all listen to the story of a tormented soul in search of peace, the tale of a knight with a steely glare, the legend of Tancred de Nirac. It is the story of a man who lived several lives, the story of a Templar who betrayed his order and with his comrade in arms, the giant Caradoc, led a gang of brigands. In the blazing heat of the desert, Tancred assumed the name of Assaif, after the great scimitar he carried by his side. As his reputation grew with each victory, his new crimes nourished the bitter seeds of regret in his heart for the good man he had once been. He who had never shied away from the enemy, never refused to fight, was close to giving way to despair when he heard of an ideal city where everyone lived in peace and could forget their past deeds. Jebus, the city of harmony, founded by the prophet Simon de Lonquois. But his greatest hope was to prove merely one more disappointment. Jebus was deserted, abandoned. From the words of Theodore, the last poor soul who could not bring himself to leave the city's ruins, he learnt the terrible truth. Simon, the false prophet, had betrayed his disciples and never come to join them in this very city that his preaching had founded. Assaif then swore that he would gain his revenge on the man who had just inflicted the deepest of all his wounds. He began his quest in Jerusalem, where, according to Theodore, an astrologist named Kamar could help him to capture Simon. He managed to track down the soothsayer thanks to two strange characters, the Kabbalist Isaac and Taleb, the blacksmith. First, he had to rescue the old man from the jails of Uvak Khan, the master of the city, by killing this barbarian in hand-to-hand combat. Tancred then learnt that Simon had fled into the deserts of the north, where the sand becomes rock and the dunes become cold mountains. At the caravanserai in Jerusalem, Assaif met Anab, a caravan leader who was preparing a long voyage to Baghdad. To pay for his passage, he agreed to fight the frightening ghouls who had seized an oasis. This was when I, Kyot, wandering poet, met him, just after he had banished these moon-white ghouls back to their lair in the underworld. Now, sitting around the fire, I once more see the face of a lost soul who was driven forward by the single burning desire for revenge. He believed the end of his quest was nigh, and that his prey had gone to earth in the fortress of the assassins. As a token of his gratitude for having defeated the monsters, Anab had given him a fragment of a talisman that he had once been given by Simon himself. With this single clue, and hungry for revenge, Tancred prepared himself to brave the mortal dangers of this accursed land. A place that some said was more dangerous than hell itself.